And we are live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Good, good. We've got a guest in the house.
I know. I'm so excited.
Robyn, how are you this morning?
I'm good, ladies. How are you?
Good, 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 good.
So now
Super
that
excited.
We're all good
We're great.
Yes.
and excited.
Yeah.
Only flashing a little bit right now.
I think the when we turn it on and we're actually live,
Yeah.
it's like a little dose of adrenaline,
It
a little
is.
dose of
Yeah.
excitement because
Yeah.
we've all been like, whew, okay, I'm
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
Where's the AC?
And they've got the heat on today.
Uh-huh.
They do.
Oh,
By
wow.
accident,
The heat,
not
yes,
helpful.
yes. And
That's okay.
and when we first started recording, we were telling them, hey, keep it cold.
Oh, right.
Keep it cold. We
Yes.
need it cold. And now the heat's on. So
Yeah.
with the flashes the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks and
Yeah.
now the heat blasting. I haven't even turned my heat on at home yet. It was 64 degrees
Oh my
Nice.
gosh.
in the house
That
this
is a
weekend.
little chilly.
Yeah.
I put a robe
Depends.
on.
Yeah.
a robe on that I got for my birthday.
Nice.
Aw,
Yes.
fun.
Love a good robe.
It yeah, then I got
Cozy?
hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I got
Well, that's the good thing.
Instantly.
A robe,
It's
on and
not-
off,
it's
on
a
and off, easy.
1 degree difference,
No.
right? It
It's like, okay, now I'm sweating.
Freezing.
Robe comes off
Yes.
and we're good to go.
Well, we want to welcome everybody. Menopause Enough Already.
Yes.
I'm Courtney,
I'm Heather.
and we are the Mac Sisters. Real women, real talk, talking about all the things, the menopause mystery, trying to be midlife baddies, all the
Right.
all the things.
Women supporting women
Yes.
through this transition and into the rest of our lives. It's how we're-
Longevity.
longevity, health,
Yep.
women's health.
Women's health, longevity,
Yes.
Everybody kind of thinks that menopause is this one singular event that happens, this one singular moment in time, and that is just not the case.
So let me ask you. So if it's this one day, what if you don't have it marked and you miss the one day on your calendar? So you don't even know. I mean, there's no celebration.
Right.
You miss the one day. That's why I think it is the rest of your life. There's no post anything.
Right.
And I think, anyway, I think before we go on, let's go ahead. We're getting too excited, getting ahead
we're
of
jumping
ourselves.
in, we're sprinting.
I want to go ahead and say we are coming to you from Varsity Park Studios at Varsity Park Franklin, Roanoke's newest innovative storage and business center. Check them out on Facebook or at varsityparkfranklin.com.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Now we can,
Let's rewind.
rewind. So, I'm super excited for today.
I am too, because there's a couple of reasons.
Okay.
Number one, it's the first time we've had a guest.
I know.
Super. I don't like.
So excited. I had
know.
no idea.
Yes,
yes.
Our
So most
first
of the time
guest.
it's like us just talking to each other, and so we're excited to get someone else's perspective and you with your credentials and everything. Courtney, why don't you tell everybody who we have and her credentials?
So, we have Robyn Goodpasture, and Robyn, both of us have known for a long time, Heather longer than myself, but Robyn is the goat of all things.
Right.
I will say Robyn is amazing. When I met Robyn, she owned a spa, and Heather worked at the spa, and it was health.
Ran the spa.
Yeah, ran the spa.
Tried
all
to
the
run
things.
the
But
spa.
what I loved about Robyn, what impressed me was her dedication to passion, to health, to wellness, and never-ending learning and education. And just, I always noticed that about Robyn. She was, if there was something that I want to learn about this, I want to do this, I'm passionate about this, she went for it. Let's do it. Let's go.
And she was very generous in sending her staff to get trained, educated all the time. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So, like I said, the spa, health and wellness, but she is a fitness and nutritional expert. She owns Fit Studio located in Roanoke. She's a personal trainer as well, specializing in women. Mental mindset, that shift that needs to happen when we make any kind of lifestyle change, but especially nutritional habits. I don't want to say fitness habits because it's
thought habit.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
thought,
How
it's
do we think
movement,
about
it's
ourselves?
wellness. So we're going to dive into all those things, but I want to give a few more stars to her bio because I'm not kidding. There is a lot. She has participated in figure competition. So for those of you that may not know what that is, when you say bodybuilding, you think of these, big guys standing on stage. Figure is more women for lean physique, and I'm going to say it's hard as crap. I don't know how anybody could do that. Both Heather and Robyn have participated. You talk about a mental mind shift. It's amazing. But like we said, she's focusing on empowering women to reach their full potential. As women, I think sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner. We put work first. We put, significant others first, kids first. Everything else is first. We take last priority. So we've got to take care of ourselves. And so we are excited to talk with Robyn about that. She is NFPT certified through personal training and women's fitness. Extensive background. This is what I'm talking about. Makeup artist. Hello. So not only is she going to get your body right, she can get your makeup right. But it's comprehensive wellness. That's what it is, all aspects. So welcome, Robyn. We're super excited.
Thanks, friends. I'm so glad to be here. And I love what you guys are doing. I truly do. I think it's fabulous. And I can't really think of two more fun and real and just awesome and down to earth ladies that will just talk about the things that, it's on everybody's mind now. And we're not going crazy, although we do feel it sometimes, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, good for you guys. And thank you again for inviting me so that I can share any, hopefully, health tips and tricks.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you for being here and taking time out of your day. So we are going to celebrate first official in-studio guest.
Yes.
Woo! Woo, woo, woo. So, yes, we're going to focus on fitness, nutrition. What does that mean as we're getting older? What are some things we can do? So, this really is a broad topic. We could probably have several episodes and do some deep diving into this. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Heather. And
well, I just wanted to thank Robyn for coming. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it here with us and share your wisdom with the ladies listeners. And because I think it means a lot to everybody, just to, you're taking your time out and sharing what you know to help other people. So thank you. So first, why don't you share with us your story about going through perimenopause? Like, what kind of happened? What was any aha moments when the light bulb went off and you realized that you weren't insane and yeah, all that.
I love the little laugh because it's like we all do that. We go, okay, get ready, buckle up, sisters. Here we go.
It's been a minute. So just briefly with the background with the spa, and Heather, you've known me for a really long time, and then being a silent partner in a gym, and then being full on running a gym, but always being into nutrition. Just as a backstory, developed an eating disorder at 12. And so,
Wow.
did all the things. Mom was trying to be super supportive. And I bring this up because body dysmorphia is real.
Very
it's true.
real.
And probably anybody who's also dealing with perimenopause or whatever, like I feel like that the body dysmorphia expands, right?
Huge.
Because when people come to me, they're like, what is this? And
Yes.
they point to their middle and they're like, what is going on?
I mean, I can show you mine right now.
Right. Okay. So anyway, so
Hold on, let me turn
right,
on my
hold
video.
on. Everybody, yeah. All right. So everybody pull their shirts up. Just kidding. Okay. So, I think that women in general, we have this stuff that we're dealing with before we even get into the thick and the
Yes.
weeds of this mess.
Yes.
And so that was my backstory, eating issues, whatever. In my 20s, I got sick of it. I went to Overeaters Anonymous because all I thought about was food all the time. Back in college, which was really interesting, is I actually took personal training and weightlifting because I just had a fascination. And it wasn't all that, kind of more your Zumba or whatever back then in the
Right,
80s.
right.
But I always liked lifting weights, which I think has proven to be super helpful. But anyway, so, I had this kind of backstory and body image stuff. And then when I opened the spa with Heather, I wanted women to take care of themselves.
Yep.
And a lot of people, and it was so new, like we had to educate people back.
We
If
did.
we really had to educate people. Why does a facial matter? It's not just something free for you do.
Relaxation,
Yeah, you
right.
take care of your skin. Why does massage matter? Because you need to take care of your body and release that stress. And then why does fitness matter? Because you need to move. It's super critical. Now, back in the day, I had my own personal trainer who, sewed into me, which was super helpful because sometimes we just don't see ourselves.
Right.
I don't think we do see ourselves. When we
No.
look at ourselves in the mirror or even just, looking down at your body, you don't see yourself in real life.
No,
You don't.
we look through our lens and our perception of ourself.
Right.
So, like we talked about last week, if we're in a negative mindset, we don't see anything good.
No.
We are only seeing that negative side of, oh, look at my hair, look at my this, look at this. And we can really damage ourselves.
Yeah. We distort.
Yes.
We distort how we see ourselves. So with fitness, with nutrition, it's something that you're going to deal with regardless. So I think, first of all, the recognition, right? We're all recognizing that, like, wow, this is rough. And just to go back a little bit, I started perimenopause symptoms, I think, way sooner than a lot of people. Because while I hear, ladies talking about it now, I felt like I was kind of dealing with it maybe before, like I didn't have friends to talk about it because I was like,
Because no one does.
nobody
But did you even realize that then, or is it looking back going, oh, hey, wait a minute, I think these were symptoms?
So there are a couple of things that marked because I've been on, and I don't think it should be convertible. Commercial. No, that's controversial. Okay, so yes, we're going to get it eventually. Menopause.
That's
No, just
part of it. No, I'm serious.
Truth. It's
We
like
have done
Yes,
this.
I know.
running through the catalog
Yes,
of
yeah,
words.
and thankfully it was still there and we found it. But like
I love it.
but like 10 years ago when I was experiencing probably what I didn't know was other than
Yeah.
I literally would go to bed and wake up so soaking wet,
Yeah.
it was as if I had jumped in a pool.
Wow.
Like ridiculous. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this? And then you change. And so like years and years ago, that was happening. Now, I think some of my experience, because I have had a hysterectomy subsequently, and this may or may not speak to some people, but you probably should get checked, is that I had fibroids. And I didn't understand. I think that kind of pushed some of these symptoms, the
Yes.
imbalances forward faster.
Yes.
So I think I was faced with this stuff. And then the other thing to me, which was probably, like a personal terror, it was terrifying. And I have an osteopath that you have to go to somebody who's going to look at all the hormones, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately,
100%.
most PCs, they just don't know. It's not that they don't care. They don't know. So you got to go to somebody and be like, what is this? Otherwise you do think it's normal. So, and I remember during this whole period of trying to figure out what's going on, like I thought I was losing my mind. Literally, I was forgetting things. People would tell me they had a conversation with me, and blackouts, and I was like, I would have not. It's a lot of times somebody reminds you this, and you're like, oh yeah. There was no yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
There was no oh yeah.
I'm just going to interject a little quick thing. A friend of mine was asking me about tires one day, and then she was also asking me about cows because she wanted one of our butchered cows. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, you're going to have to text me to remind me. So she literally texted me tires and cows. And I looked at my phone and I was like,
What?
I don't
is
even know what she's
tires
talking
and
about.
cows?
She probably meant to send this to someone else.
Right, of course.
So then
Yeah.
she talked to me about it the next day, still didn't connect.
Yep.
Then I said, you're going to have to text me. She sends me the exact same text. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I get
No,
it.
but it is. So, can I ask a question? Yeah. While you were starting to experience these things, did you say anything to anyone?
Oh,
Was
no.
it like just internal dialogue? What the crap is going on? What did you assume there's something wrong with
Oh,
me?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it was
about
fear.
Yes,
How
fear.
old? How old were you?
Gosh, guys.
You said you thought it was
Mid-
like early on.
Probably early 40s.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
See, and that's not early.
40s.
That's not
yeah.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of what
Yeah.
We're trying
we're
to get out.
trying
Yeah.
to get out. Like
Yeah.
ladies,
It's sooner than you think.
it is
Exactly.
sooner. And I've even said the same thing. When I was going through things, it didn't dawn on me that this was perimenopause. This was hormonal fluctuations. I chalked it up to all these other things.
Stress.
Yes.
Busyness.
Yes.
Trying to be super mom.
Yes.
Like
Right.
thinking you could and should somehow be able to handle this all.
Right.
Because when you were a little bit younger, maybe you could sort of, kind
Right.
of. But
and it's like, what is wrong with
Yeah.
me? And you instantly think that there's nothing wrong with you. This
No,
is
just this.
this is what happens. And we do need to kind of
Put it out
be
there.
aware and
Put it out
talk about it. Nobody talks about
Yeah.
it.
Well,
we want to talk about
yes.
it.
I talked to my doctor because I was like, do I need a neurologist? Because I was afraid.
Sure.
And is this early onset? Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
Like, so I guess the good thing is less uncomfortable, more terrified,
wow.
right? Because maybe if I was a little bit uncomfortable, I'm like, okay, I can change my pajamas. Does that make
Right.
sense? But
Yep.
when you're like, am I losing my ability to think and remember?
That's extremely scary.
It was. And so I went in. I'll always remember I walked in. I was like, do you have a recommendation, a reference? She's like, ha ha, it's just your estrogen.
I am
and-
so glad that you have a doctor that
Ha ha.
Says
and
that.
I was like, thank you, God. Because I was
Yes.
like, there's a solution that doesn't include me going to memory care anytime soon.
wow.
So that's kind of how it all started. And thankfully, because I feel like I've gone through it faster, I can tell you when somebody comes in and they want to lose weight and that what they call menopause belly now,
Yeah.
which is a very, very real thing. And I even remember clients going, Robyn, I swear it's not me just drinking a bottle of wine.
No,
like,
right.
I know
It's
you
true.
think that. And in my 30s, I did think it.
Right.
In my 30s, I honestly was like, you're just not telling me the truth about your eating.
Right.
And then
Right.
you hit it and you're like, oh, like they're
they
not
were,
lying.
Yes.
They're not lying.
This
Like,
is
this is
very
a-
real.
This is a real thing. So I think beginning that early on definitely has helped with everything that I kind of teach, coach, recommend. But I think the thing to remember is you need to get all of those hormones checked. And that process of finding the balance, because it swings, right?
Yes.
Right.
So then I started using some testosterone. And again, gosh, love my doctor. She was like, ha ha, you have no testosterone. How's that muscle building thing going? And I'm like, I
You're
don't
like, I'm working out
I'm
and
working
I'm
out
getting
every day.
flabbier.
Right. And she was. And she's like, are you eating protein? I'm like, do you know who you're talking
Right.
to? It's
Hello.
me, Robyn. Okay. Like,
It's me, Robyn.
you know me. Like, there's just protein.
Let me
That's what
give
I
you my
do.
card.
Yes. I'm like, 5 years later, I did bodybuilding. And there was also
Right.
that kind of depression because I think maybe this is a real thing for some people who are listening. Like, you feel like you're doing everything right. You
Yes.
are getting up.
Mm-hmm.
You are trying to take care of yourself. You
Yes.
are trying to de-stress. you are trying to eat cleaner most of the time. I don't expect anybody clean. It didn't matter. I was eating so clean when I was doing my training, and I was all messed up. My hormones were all messed up, and I was angry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, nobody eats cleaner than I do.
Right.
Nobody supplements
I would
better
say,
than
I would
do.
have to say, like, 100% that's for real.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I was angry. I was angry because I felt like I was doing all the right things. And it doesn't matter.
Right.
You have to figure out what's right for your physical environment, your hormonal environment, and it will still change on top of it. So you got to go back.
Yes.
You got to get your blood work done. And so even now, if I'm talking to somebody, I can tell you how to work out, and I can tell you the cardio and the intensity, all that stuff, and I'm happy to share that. But if you're not monitoring your hormones, you're going to stay super frustrated.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of women stay, because unfortunately, I am so thankful that you had a doctor that was her first thing.
Exactly.
Hey,
Very rare.
it's hormones, girl. Let's start there. But that's not the case. And I'm going to say majority, they go to their primary care or they go to their OBGYN, and that's not the answer. It's, well, you need to watch what you're eating
and work out.
And they're already doing that. And you need to exercise more.
Yeah.
They're already doing that. And the concept of the 20-something eat less, work out more, that is the total opposite of what we have to do as we're going into these hormonal changes. But yet, they're starving themselves. They're working out to death. They feel like crap. And why isn't this working?
And I want to kind of shed a light on another group of ladies who are getting their hormones checked, getting their hormones, and wondering why the hormones aren't working.
Right.
So it's all of these things work together.
Yes.
In harmony, in unison, all three hormones, exercising, eating well, taking care of your body. So it's the whole package. I mean,
we don't have time to do anything else. I'm just going to say.
I know. Who has time to work? I don't, because my day is worked around preparing my food and working out.
Getting my steps in.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what are you doing? I'm walking in my driveway or up and down my hallway just to get my steps in.
Yeah. It's there is so much. And both of you said it is constant fluctuation. That's the other thing. You might have what you feel is a really good dialed in hormone nutrition balance, and it's going to change. And it's going to change. And it's going to change. So we do need continuous monitoring and not just blood work. How are we feeling? How are we feeling in this moment with these numbers, with this data? How do I feel?
Right. Do you see symptoms creeping back in? Just like, because I mentioned last week, I've had hot flashes again, a little irritability. It's like, okay, I know I'm getting my blood work done next week, so I've got to wait. But still, I have my blood work scheduled, like, so I know, and I can explain to the doctor, this is what's going on now. So then we can actually see what my blood work looks like, compare that to the symptoms I'm having.
Yep.
So
I think there's a habit too. And I felt like, I don't know, and I feel like, which is great for our younger folks, is it's not as troublesome. But we're all the same age as our people who are listening and dealing with menopause. But do you remember that, and it was up north, there was this commercial that said, I can bring home the bacon.
yes,
Fried up in a pan. And never let my man forget he's a man, 'cause I'm a woman. Okay, that was the biggest load of caca ever that was said over and said over and said over.
And we sang this commercial.
We sang it. I just
yes.
mouthed. Okay, so Gina Tay. Anyway, so
and it was a bath. It was a bath bubble bath.
Yeah, okay.
It was a bubble bath.
They were probably right. The bath would have helped.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that has, I think, sunk in to those of us who are in menopause, perimenopause, that age. And so there's this self-directed, unfair, unrealistic expectations. So when we can't do everything we thought we could or should, we are hard on ourselves.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I think part of not only recognizing and feeling and thinking, or like, how am I feeling right now? And then it's taking it to the next step and going, that's okay. It's okay to feel not good right now.
Mm-hmm.
You might not like not feeling good, but it's okay. And you don't have to fix it.
Right.
And you don't have to stuff food in your face.
Right.
To fix it.
Honestly, that's what I did for a long time. It was like, why am I eating so much? And I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be my hormones, or I'm craving or something. No, I think it was trying to feel better, trying to be consoled by food.
Yeah.
Carbs, sugar, something
Something.
sweet.
Anything.
Something that
Anything.
releases a happy endorphin.
Anything to feel better. And then again, once you recognize, wow, that's really going on, it's real. And again, somebody with a prior eating disorder kind of getting to practice and learn and share, like when you feel that feeling, don't try to fix it, try to feel it. Am I mad right now? Am I sad? Is it my period or is it before? Because I used to get really nutty like the day before my period. And then my period come and be like, okay, that was it. Right?
Right.
Right? Oh,
I
that
think
was it.
we've been
yeah,
there, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So part of all of this in taking agency, let's say we're taking agency of our thoughts, our feelings, recognizing what we're feeling, making sure we are our best advocates and we're not cruel to ourselves because we can't figure certain things out when we want to, the way we want to.
Right.
And then making sure we're moving. I love that you don't care how you get your steps, you're just doing it.
Yeah.
Because that is such a basic but easy way to stay healthy. We were designed to move.
Yep.
We are not designed to sit.
No.
And so you think about, years ago even, we wouldn't be sitting on our phones, on our computers. We would be moving. So potentially the menopause symptoms back in the day may have not been as harsh. Because
I
your
haven't even
body
thought
was
about
moving,
that. I
where-
have not
yeah,
even thought about
right.
that. Our lifestyle today,
attributes.
it doesn't help
At
any
all.
of these
At
symptoms
all.
because we are so sedentary.
We are so sedentary. So yeah, I think it magnifies the symptoms.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that perspective, but you're exactly right. We talk a lot about our mom and her generation. No one talked about anything. You didn't talk about periods. You didn't talk about
awful.
menopause.
You
You
didn't
didn't
let
talk.
your guests see the real part of your house you lived in.
Well, I am guilty of that still.
I mean, come on. You have your parlor in the front for your visitors.
parlor.
No, you're
with
right.
The swinging doors.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
No, I
It's your
hadn't
life.
even thought of
Yeah.
that. But yes, absolutely, we have continued to decline as far as a society as a whole. But now we're coming into menopause where movement is so important, and nutrition, we haven't even
Started with that
really
part.
gotten on that part.
Right.
But all of these things aren't helping. And I do, we've said this before, I feel like our environmental factors are playing a huge role in why we are seeing earlier perimenopause, menopause, why we are seeing more infertility, why we are seeing more cases of PCOS. All of these things, because of what we're putting in our bodies, are these environmental factors and things, and we're not moving. We're sitting. And we're trying, we keep coming up with more and more ways to make life easier and shortcuts.
To make life easier.
And so I
then
can
also exercising easier or losing weight easier with, more meds or pills or whatever the case is.
I have a saying that convenience is killing us, and I
I love that.
absolutely believe it.
I love that.
Yes, me
Convenience
too.
is killing us. And so we need to ask ourselves, and there's been this weird productivity, and you got hack this, hack that. There are things we can't hack,
No hack.
and there's things we shouldn't hack. And
That's good.
exercise and movement is one of them. And I know that's rough. And I know it's hard. You got to put on your shoes sometimes. And you got to move when you don't feel like it.
Yep.
You don't want to. We're constantly being assaulted by different messages. And it's learning to have that conversation, again, talking about the feelings, not necessarily denying them, but also not letting them control us.
Yep.
So we're like, I don't feel like working out. And okay, I don't feel like brushing my teeth, but I want to have teeth later on in life.
Exactly.
So like you can have these kind of logical conversations even when you don't, if you're feeling emotional. But the agency of taking care of ourselves and making a decision and see the value of what I'm doing now. I might not feel like it right now. I might not want to. And I want anybody listening, you've got to do resistance training. You've got to lift weights. If you get on any podcast, any expert, male or women, or female, they will tell you that lean mass is critical to long-term health. You want to be able to get on and off the floor.
There's a
Exactly.
direct correlation between muscle mass and longevity. in
Leg
life.
strength and longevity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And
There's a-
I think thinking,
Yeah.
it affects your lack of movement can affect in the long run whether or not how long you're going to have your critical thinking skills.
Sure.
You've got to move so that you think better.
Yeah. Robyn, I want to ask you a question. What is, let's say when you have clients come into you, and she may not even realize she's in the thick of things, but like you said, I'm gaining weight, I'm tired, and now I'm sick and tired of this, like enough already. What's like the first thing that you do with your clients that come in feeling like that? Is it the recommendation of, let's get your hormones checked, or is it movement? Is it food?
It's kind of both.
All the
because,
above?
right. So how long have you been feeling bad? How old are you? Have you seen any hormonal changes? Are you going through any life stressors? Divorce, taking care of
Sure.
a parent. So really, you gotta look at all of it. But if somebody tells me they're kind of gaining weight very quickly, they haven't truly changed the way they eat. Ask them how old they are, if they feel like they're experiencing anything. I am almost always first going to tell, like, you got to handle your hormones. I can handle the movement and help you eat. And it's critical, right? You can still maintain lean mass by moving, and everybody should do it. You can still make better nutritional choices. We all can all the time,
Right.
regardless if we have menopause, perimenopausal
Sure.
stuff. But that hormone thing is so critical because that's the baseline, right? The fitness and the nutrition, although not a Band-Aid, it can't just correct that. Even though
Right.
having lean mass is better for you, having less body fat mass, if it is excessive, is going to help your hormone balance, right? Because having extra mass that is fat does also negatively impact
Your hormones.
your hormones. It affects your insulin uptake. It affects whether or not you can sleep well, as you know, whether or not you wake up refreshed, whether or not you can breathe, right? We see this, what I think is kind of a, it's not catastrophic. Thank goodness we have it, but sleep apnea.
Right.
Okay, if you're not breathing during your repair time, which is your sleeping, you're not benefiting as much as you could. And so, but it's kind of like it all cycles on itself. So you want to start somewhere, but that's how, if you came to me and said, okay, I'm done with the abs, or this spare tire, I'm tired, I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ask you questions to see if you need to go see somebody. And then I'm going to tell you, go to somebody who actually does this.
Right.
Right,
A
because-
specialist.
Exactly.
Somebody who's not only a specialist, but really gives a rip. I find that locally, our osteopaths are your best people to go to. And again, there is no male bashing here. None. Love our guys. But a woman who is experiencing hormone stuff or has experienced hormone stuff, I feel like in honesty, they can be more empathetic. Because,
I
God
agree.
love guys, they just can't,
Right.
they cannot empathize because
No,
they don't know
they
how
don't go
to.
through it.
Right. And back in the day when I had the spa, I'll still always remember, I was so angry. And so PCOS, and the reason I always knew about PCOS is because in my first life, I was an electrologist. This was before lasers. And so people were coming to me because you
Wow.
had hair on your face
Yep.
or other places that was male pattern.
Yep.
And devastating. These
Sure.
are a devastating condition. Well, they just came to me because they wanted their hair off.
Just
And
hair removal. Just
right.
get
I'm
it
like,
done.
what's your period? How is this going? Did you? And a lot of them wouldn't even have had their period, and they didn't care. And I was like, you got to go look at that, because that means your hormones are off. And that is why we're seeing excessive or androgen-based
Yeah.
hair growth. And so I always remember, and it was very uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable that they numb you better. So I sent one lady to her doctor, and I said, could you please get this Emla cream? And it was nice. It was on the market. It was a prescription, but you put it on for 30 minutes. It just made the treatment more tolerable. And I remember she came back to me, and her doctor, in his arrogance, was like, I've never heard of that, so I'm not giving it to you. Shave
my
your
goodness.
face.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I
my
mean,
gosh.
I about lost it.
And then we wonder why women don't want to go talk to anybody about it, why
that
they
was the
don't want to go to a
solution?
doctor, because
You get the wrong
sadly,
one.
that is the comment that's being returned.
Well,
I had let me share this real
Okay,
quick,
yeah,
because
go ahead.
my menopause brain, that thought will fly away. I had a woman tell me one time that she was starting to experience these things. She went to her doctor and she said, and I'm overweight because all of these things are going on. And she was like, I'm overweight. And I go to my doctor and I said, my sex drive is gone. I have no energy or desire to do anything. And I just don't feel like myself. And he told her the exercise more, eat less, and you do need to lose weight because that will make you sexier to your husband and he will want to have sex with you.
Not the fact
Not
that
that
she
she doesn't
had
right.
your libido.
Right. And she said, I wanted to crawl in a hole and die. She was like, he just told me I'm the
problem.
unattractive, unsexy. He doesn't want to be with me, not any of my emotions. That doctor has since lost his job because this was a repeated pattern.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, wow.
male,
Yeah.
like dominating thinking,
Yeah.
never about treating the woman. But all of that to say, I think that is why women are like,
Yeah.
there's
I don't want
no
to talk
way
to
in
anybody
heck
about
I'm
it.
going to talk
If
to
you-
somebody
like,
about
I mean,
this.
and again, being a female and back in the hair, it's like, it's not uncommon to have dark hair on your nipples.
Right.
No.
And but when they would, ask me to treat them for it, like they were devastated. I was like,
Sure.
it's okay. A lot of us have it,
Right.
And it was like, oh, but you're probably not going to say that to a male doctor.
No.
So,
and
anyway.
he's not going to say,
No problem.
hey, that's not a big deal. I see a lot of patients.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to have that.
Right. Yeah. So
Well, I am going to say, Robyn, I am impressed because I feel like you've always kind of been ahead of
The curve.
the
like,
curve.
Right.
You've been ahead of the time, like the buzzwords, what's going on. Just like you said, doing those things when women would come to you and you're like, hey, you need to go to your doctor. We need to check these things out. I love that has always kind of been the center. Like your health and wellness has to start inside, like from you. Then we can work outward.
Well, and it just shows your willingness to that you truly want to help women. You want women to feel better about themselves. I mean, we're here to support each other and lift each other up. We
Yeah.
talked about this last time about, don't be so catty and judgmental of other women. I said, we're all going through our shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And
very early on, and you may remember it, Heather, but I'm of a spiritual belief that the woman, both parents are very important. Don't get me wrong. But the woman is the heart of the home.
mhm,
And if mama ain't okay,
nobody
Nothing's
is.
going
nobody
okay.
is okay.
No.
And so, in order to help women specifically, and again, I have a heart for both, but have always felt more drawn to helping women feel better, think better about themselves,
Right.
be their best friend and cheerleader. Stop picking on yourself. Stop finding the one small flaw in your body and getting the 10x mirror.
Right.
And so, because I think our role, our calling by God, is so important.
Yeah.
And so early on, I wasn't in that space. And I remember working with, you remember Kate? She was my life
Yes.
coach.
I saw her recently.
Oh, that's awesome. So she's such a cool character. So I remember doing my values list. And I think I was actually talking to a young woman yesterday. She's like, how do I get rid of this guilt? I just have constant guilt that I'm falling down somewhere and dropping the ball somehow. And she's got a new little one. But I remember I did my values exercise with Kate and was like writing down everything that's important to you, your family, your work, your friends, community, whatever, husband, if you have one, that kind of thing. And then somewhere, I don't even know if I put myself on there. I don't really remember, but I just remember Kate moving and saying, okay, you say these are all important to you, but if something happens to you, what happens to everything that's important to you?
Wow.
And that was the beginning of me moving myself up on the priority list.
Yeah.
And getting clear and understanding it is okay to work out. It's okay to take time for myself. It's okay not to eat everything that my kids are eating.
Right.
Or my husband is eating.
Mhm.
That is probably the biggest thing I hear when people are struggling with their weight or their health. Well, my kid doesn't eat this, or my husband doesn't eat this, so I eat what they eat. I'm like, well, they probably shouldn't be eating what they're eating either.
Right.
And if you have an older kid, I'm sorry, this is what mom's eating to be healthy because I love you so much. I want to be around for a really long time and as healthy as I can be.
Mhm.
This is what I'm making. If you do not care for it, there's the pantry.
Right.
But this is what I'm doing
Right.
to stay strong and healthy. And I also think role modeling that, especially for our females, our men too, going, hey, mom takes care of herself.
Right.
Mom invests time beyond injections,
Yeah.
beyond the facial stuff, right? That, mom is food prepping.
Yeah.
All right. Mom is making different decisions. We never, in fact, and again, this is a long time practice. I don't expect anybody to figure this out anytime soon. But Grayson, you guys know Grayson. So he's my kiddo on the spectrum. He's 23 years old now. But he would spend a lot of time with Nana. And Nana said one day he came up, he was staying time at her house. And he was like, Nana, your house is food heaven. My house is food hell. Okay. And so, because there just wasn't a whole bunch of excessive stuff to reach for that was not going to nourish us.
Right.
Or take prep time.
Right.
It's real food.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah.
Is this going to fuel us?
And here's the thing. We're going through our menopausal symptoms, our emotional systems, stress. There's all this thing. If convenience is going to be your number one, then it's all likelihood it's not going to be healthy unless it's the veggie tray.
You're
Or
right.
the fruit bowl.
Right.
So in order to make better food decisions, you have to make your healthy choices convenient.
Yep.
I
Yep.
agree with that. So I was actually talking to Kirk this weekend, and he came in. He's like, "What's for dinner?" I was like, "I'm cooked out.
Yep.
I am cooked out. There are leftovers in the fridge or eggs. We have plenty of eggs."
Love
I was
some
like,
eggs.
I can't cook anything. And he's like, "Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool."
right,
But because just prepping, it's like you can give yourself a break. But I fell into that convenience trap where I was living on protein bars and protein shakes. And it was just like, I still wasn't feeling good. I'm like, I don't think I'm getting nourished.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, it says it's a protein bar, but how many of those can you really eat in a day?
And
Right.
that is an honest danger because, again, we are the convenient society, right? We can not go to the store now. Everybody can. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, that habit of
Right.
convenience, it's still for many people convenience, right?
Right.
And I get it, right? We are actually physiologically designed to become really efficient at things. That's why bad habits are so hard to break and new ones are so hard to make. Because every decision when we drive, right? We've all driven someplace and we were trying to go one other place and our freaking brain was on autopilot.
Right.
It's terrifying,
Right.
right? You're like
Right.
behind the wheel of a car. So we have to get really okay that it's uncomfortable.
Yep.
that there's nothing wrong with this. This is another resounding theme I hear when I'm working with women who are trying to make healthier decisions. There's nothing wrong with you that this is hard.
Right.
I don't care if you've been eating your whole life. That doesn't make you an eating expert.
Right.
No.
And now what comes at us is so freaking confusing. Is it low carb? Is it no carb? Is it paleo? Whatever the latest, greatest.
Right. The buzzwords.
Right. That gets into some vein somewhere.
Yep.
And then Heather and I will both tell you, like, it's low glycemic eating, period. All of those
Right.
things are basically eating healthy carbs, complex carbs, in a lower volume and making sure you get your protein, which is critical, especially for menopause or perimenopause, and some healthy fats.
Right.
And when you start doing that, this is the coolest thing. And again, I have a protein shake here. Here it is.
Okay, I did go to Wendy's on the way, and I got my
Wendy's.
my Chick-fil-A, or not a Chick-fil-A. No, I didn't.
At Chick-fil-A at Wendy's.
got-
That's what we do.
Oh my gosh! See,
Yeah.
words.
Words.
I got my grilled chicken Caesar salad.
Yeah.
And
Right.
And it works.
Right,
We
so-
talked about Wendy's. It's like then you have to explain why you went to Wendy's.
Right. But the coolest thing is talking to people whose lives are crazy. There are always healthier choices.
There are.
You have to exercise some willpower, though.
Yeah.
Before,
Sure.
I don't care what restaurant you go to.
Right.
You know, because I'll talk with people, they don't cook. And in all likelihood, so they don't cook. They're not going to learn to cook. They're in their 40s, say, but they're going to stop at a convenience. I was like, there's grilled over.
Yep.
There's grilled over
Right.
fried.
Right.
Yep.
There's fruit over French fries, guys. Like
Yep.
there
Or
is
side salad over fries.
right. So there are alternatives. It's just going somewhere within us, and sometimes it's listening to. And I'll get into that one second. It's like, what do we say about ourselves? Do we say this? We're worth it? Or do we say that we can actually make some changes? Are we okay that it's going to be hard as all get out? We have to be okay with it's hard. And now that I'm in my 50s, I am saying to myself, it's hard. It's okay. You can do it. Might take you a little longer. I'm constantly cheering myself on going, it's hard.
Yep.
Well, and that's what
You
I
can do
was
it.
going to say. So, I don't want our listeners to think that, we have it solved, that our days are easy. And no, I was just telling Courtney when we walked in here, I was like, how come you feel like you look good until you turn on your camera?
Yeah.
And I was
that's
like,
why, that's why I don't turn on my
yeah.
camera anymore. I'm like,
No
the person
selfies.
coming back to me, I'm like, who is that?
Are you?
I don't
Exactly.
recognize you
Who
at
is
all.
that?
I couldn't
when
open
did your
my-
forehead get that long?
No,
I don't.
that's
Right?
I couldn't open my eyeballs
I
because
know.
my eyelids had
that's
fallen
right.
over.
Yeah.
Well,
Are
Robyn, you
sleeping?
say that, and it reminds me, one of my friends, she is in the health and wellness field, and she's like, it is hard to make lifestyle changes. She said, but we're grown-ups, okay? At some point
on
in
her
time,
big
you
girl
have to
pants.
stop complaining and start doing it and say, I don't feel like it, but I do it anyway because I'm a grown-up. I'm not a toddler. I don't throw tantrums and eat whatever I want to. I know I want to feel better. I know I'm eating for longevity, for health, for feeling better, thinking better. I'm going to do it anyway. It might not be what I want to do at that moment. I don't feel like eating a salad. Oh, well, you're a grown up. Do it anyway. Make the hard choice. Do it anyway.
I saw an, I don't know, it's probably a TikTok or a reel, and it was a doctor talking about the more hard choices that you make, the more it actually strengthens your memory part of your brain. I think that's what he was saying.
It makes
And
perfect sense.
so-
Right.
it actually prolongs your brain health.
Makes sense.
By
How-
making hard decisions.
By making yourself do the hard thing and not quitting.
Yes.
Let's talk
I-
about
that
And
makes
so even
total
when you're
sense.
talking, I don't feel like going to the gym. And then I saw a thing where it's just like, well,
And?
F your feelings.
Right.
Go.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
do
I
it
don't
anyway.
feel like it and.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
But and that's the difference I
and.
think you're going to see
And.
in people.
And.
You can see people, talk to people, and a lot of times you can see the decisions that they make I mean, just by how they live their lives. And it doesn't mean that it's easier for them. It's just the choices they've made. So another thing was that the choices you make determine whether you are trying to make a change or you are accepting how you're living.
And we've talked about this. I think we all have that moment when we're going through perimenopause, menopause, and we're seeing all these things. We're like, no.
No more. Enough already.
Like,
I'm done.
I'm making the change because I'm not accepting how I feel. There has to be something better.
And there is.
Yes.
There
and
is.
so what do I need to do moving forward? Whether that is nutrition, movement, HRT, the hormone therapies, like getting things balanced.
Going to a counselor.
Yes.
Talking to people about this. And it's funny how people perceive us, right? And I'm always surprised when somebody will say something. I'm like, oh, you see me like that? Like, I was working out with the group the other day at the studio. And it was a young guy. He's like, man, it's intimidating working out with you. And I was like, have you seen your muscles? Like, I'm just trying to make it through. And I was like, I'm not lifted, but I just, that perception. And so people will say two things to me all the time. They'll go, I just wish I loved working out. Secret, I actually don't.
So they think you do.
They think I
because you make it a priority.
Working out.
Yeah.
I don't. And
the truth is out.
A gym.
There we go.
So if you're waiting to want to, you're going to wait a long time.
Yep.
Now, what
That's
do I
huge.
like? I like feeling good.
Absolutely.
The coolest thing that makes me get so excited with clients in the gym, especially females, is if you can do a push-up.
Yeah.
Can you do a burpee?
Huge.
I mean, honestly, if I can get you your flat abs, great. That just doesn't define us.
No.
And I mean, we're the only ones who look down anyway. So like,
Right.
So
when
what are we doing at this
why
age?
are we looking
Or do we
down?
do we even wear half shirts?
No.
I mean,
None
are
of
we
us should
wearing
be. None anyway.
bralettes in the gym to work out?
But or they're like, I don't like my thighs. I'm like, just think about it. No, that's because you're looking down at them. But I don't walk up to you and look at your crotch.
Right.
Like the stuff that we
Right.
Don't.
No. Anyway, so no. Just want to see like little shoulders,
Shoulders,
little arms, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah, let's be the bras in the gym, just working arms. Just kidding. Don't do that. Anyway, don't do that. And then the other thing that I often hear is the perception that you have to like it to do it. You don't,
No.
but you want to appreciate the results.
Yeah.
And you being able to get on and off the floor,
Yeah.
you better stick that on
huge.
number one.
Yeah.
I have a client. She is precious. I love her. She's hilarious. She called me up. She was sent to me by a physical therapist. And so she's Indian and she's this amazing accent. But I said, well,
Can
how
you do it?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
Nobody be offended.
Okay.
But and I'll probably do a really lousy job at it. And I said, so how can I help you? She's like, I've got a dead butt.
A dead
butt. And so according to her PT, and she really did, right?
It was
weren't
not firing.
No firing. I was like, okay, so you need glute activation exercises, which we all do.
Yep.
That's going to help all the things.
100%.
You want a strong butt, ladies,
Yep.
and not just because you want it cute. Like,
Right.
screw the cute.
Not just for
No,
apple bottom jeans.
No,
Exactly.
yeah, like
And
those
boots with
are
the
way
fur.
past my future ever. Anyway, but it's that kind of thing. And so what she found by not exercising, and she's in her early 60s and can't get on and off a couch, and she's not overweight.
Wow.
Just to make sure,
Just-
this is not
just
somebody's
strength.
overweight.
It's just
she
strength.
is really weak. And so she's like, so I have to push up. And so honestly, one of the things, and she's getting better, like we're just sitting
Yep.
and standing
Yep.
and sitting and standing and also helping her. She's some arthritis and also helping her get on and off the floor.
Wow.
It's huge. It's
Yep.
critical. She's showing up for herself.
Yep.
And so it's that kind of thing we want to put on our thinking caps and be like, okay, what do I see 10 or 20 years from now? How do I want
Right.
to, not only how do I want to feel, but what do I want to still be able to do?
Absolutely.
And so the investment is now.
Yeah.
The investment is now, and we need to make that decision. And we got to put guilt aside and shame aside. I'm not saying you have to become a crazy narcissist,
Right.
but 30 minutes,
Right.
45 minutes a day, walking, lifting, food prepping, and I don't care. Celery has died so many times in my refrigerator if I buy it in the bag. It has to be cut.
Has to be cut.
Just learn.
Yes.
Learn.
Yep.
Learn
I will pay extra
for
for
the
the cut up
celery.
fruit and the
Right.
cut up veggies.
It's not getting cut.
Right.
Strawberries and celery go to my fridge to die.
Yes.
Unless they're cut up. So, I think it's thinking about all of this, and then like that critical piece behind it is not judging yourself.
Okay, so
which
Robyn,
we're phenomenally good at
Yeah,
judging
we are.
and that was our last
yeah.
podcast, all about self-care and
Self-love.
yes, loving. And anyway, Robyn, what I'd say would be the top 3 things that you would tell women when they come in or they come to you about, hey, what should I do?
the strategy.
Yes.
Again, first we're going to see if there's hormonal, chemical
Yep.
changes, so that can be handled
Mm-hmm.
by somebody who's a professional and know it. Like, I can just get you there. The next thing I'm going to tell you to do is you have to lift weights.
So what does that mean? We
Okay.
hear that.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
and I'm
yeah.
going to get my pink,
1 pound.
1 pounders.
yeah, 1 pounders.
Only if you're doing delt flies on the floor, because that's brutal with 1 pound. But anyway,
True.
okay, yeah. So
What does that mean?
lifting weights, I love
Yeah.
that. So lifting weights or resistant, because I don't want people to feel like they've got to go, and join Crunch or one of these
Right.
big things with, a bunch of people who are. Thank you, darling.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to fatigue your muscle.
Okay.
So let's just target a bicep, right? Most people, and you don't have to be, like a physique specialist to know, okay, this is the front of your arm, your
Right.
bicep. So you're going to do something like a bicep curl, and there's really only so much you can curl, right?
Right.
There's opposing muscle groups and all this stuff, but like if you're just like, you got to do something, you're going to do a bicep curl, and you're going to pick up enough weight that if you decide 10 is your rep count, you're tired at 10.
Yeah.
If 12 is your rep count, you're tired at 12.
So tired or
I
like
can't do anymore.
struggling to do those?
I would say that's a great, yes, I struggle with good form. So if you get to and you're like, I can't do that last one, sweet.
Yep.
And again, something I have said forever and ever, and Heather probably remembers, I was like, the only one you cannot do is the only one that changes you.
Ooh.
So yeah, right? So it's okay to fail. Now, I can tell you, especially women, they don't like failure.
No.
So if you're going to do something, I can't tell you how many times we're doing something, I'm finding their fatigue point, they're crashing that muscle, and women will start crying.
Yes, because
It
instantly
hits.
we think bad of ourselves if we can't do it. We instantly we're lifting weights and I'm failing because it is hard and I'm working hard. But those negative processes in our brain turn on and they go, I have failed. Like, boom. Not in a good way.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, find failure. I'm telling you, go. I tell people,
fail forward,
fail
faster.
yeah.
Fail
And I'm like,
forward,
if you're trying to
faster.
work on your push-ups, a lot, and it's uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get, and so I start people on the floor
Yeah.
because they'll do that little half push-up.
Right.
And I'm like, I need you on the floor. I need your hands up.
Yeah.
I don't care how you get off the floor. I want you to know you can get off the floor. And eventually you will be able to do the push-up.
Yep.
But you have to start with nothing.
And I think, especially as women, they instantly go to light weights because I'm not very strong.
Yeah,
but
they don't
we
wanna bulk.
Oh,
well,
that's
they
my
don't want to
favorite.
bulk.
Don't want to bulk.
Or
Girl, you not gonna.
You're not gonna bulk.
so I did say so.
I mean, did you see these?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I tell people that all the time. I was like, this is 30 years. Like, how
Right.
big is that? I wish it was bigger.
Right. So
trying.
I
trying.
offended a lady one time. I was teaching a group fitness class and we are lifting and I'm encouraging them to go heavier because, you're not sweating, you're not struggling, you're moving. That's great. But I want you to go a little bit heavier. And I said, if your weights are not going to bulk you, the cupcakes you're eating are.
Amen, sister.
And I saw a lady's face get very upset with me. And I almost was like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have said that. But at the same time, maybe that hit home to her.
She got mad
She
because you
got
were
mad
speaking
because
the truth.
I think she felt like I called her out. Not that we're
Yes.
calling each other out.
Mm-mm.
It's awareness. Oh, hey, maybe I do need to change what I'm doing.
Awareness without judgment. We
Right.
have to tell people the truth. If we were just to say, just keep doing what you're doing, we've actually recently slowed down some of our training at the gym because same thing. My guys were not, or my ladies, they were not picking up a heavy enough weight.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, we're gonna slow down and we'll watch your form.
Yes.
We're not gonna rush you. And the coolest thing is they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting stronger.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I'm seeing some. But that was because we slowed people down so they could be really intentional with their movement. And I think the cool thing about lifting heavy, it doesn't have to be excruciating,
Right.
fatiguing out the muscle, finding that one or two that you cannot do,
Yep.
right? It doesn't have to be super fancy. You don't need to
Right.
do acrobatics. You don't need to do, it's cool. You don't need to do handstand push-ups. Like,
Right.
you don't have to do all these things that you just don't know if you can get in and out of the equipment, so
The reality is it's kind of boring. It's kind of
is
basic,
so
and it's kind of boring.
It is.
And so are the foods,
And-
honestly.
Yes.
Unless you really want to get in and
Yeah.
toss some stuff
Yeah,
around.
like you said,
No.
it's not
It's not.
fancy.
It's
And
consistency.
it's consistency and just doing the specific things.
over.
And as those weights are getting easier,
Mhm.
hey, we're going to go a little bit more.
That's right. It
And
should never get easier.
Right.
You just tolerate it better.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I tell people. It should never get easier. Okay? You just can tolerate it better.
So we've talked about like the working out and that kind of thing. I just wanted to touch like nutrition. Are there some foods that you instantly recommend to clients if
Like
they're
what's-
dealing with menopausal
Right.
symptoms, that kind of thing? Are there some, hey, get some of this in your diet, get some of this in your diet?
I think it's a great question. The first thing I am going to ask you is protein. That seems to be, for most people, they miss it.
Yeah.
And the standard, like what you'll hear is like a gram per body weight, and
Right.
that's for maintenance. So, and I personally eat more. So I weigh about, I don't know, like 97 pounds now. That's a whole
Sucking hot.
nother the frustration thing.
That
Well,
was
this
like
is
my
what
birth
this is what's
weight.
this is what's interesting about me. Also, I'm like 4'11", so let's just point that out.
And let's just say very strong, fit.
Well,
like,
I am strong, but this is what's interesting. My weight goes down when I don't work out. I don't want anybody to panic, but that's because I haven't used my muscle.
Gotcha.
So I'm the other way. I am like, I want to maintain my muscle as much as I can. That is my target. So I'm eating to make sure I maintain my muscle.
Right.
And with that, you want colorful foods, the fruits, the vegetables. They'll tell you like red fruits, right? Your strawberries. People like goji berries, and again, there's some sugar. So just remember, there's a balance of eating whole foods. That color is the best way to know if something has vitamins in it, right?
Okay, good,
This
good
is
clue.
just look for
Yep.
colorful. So a sweet potato over a white potato.
Okay,
Okay, the vitamin is showing up in the orange color.
nice.
All right, so that's just one easy way. Now, I am somebody who does believe that our dirt is pretty dead, and
Yeah.
it can feel depressing, but I do think you need some sort of broad spectrum vitamin and mineral, because you would have to eat all day, every day to get
Right.
what we used to get, like say in a serving of spinach. And I love greens. Never met a vegetable I don't love. So, and I know that's not everybody's favorite, but you can't overeat vegetables, in my
No,
humble
you
opinion.
Right.
You
right.
just can't. Now, the interesting thing is not only you can't overeat them, you won't overeat them. So the more whole foods you eat, I mean, just think about like 2 cups of spinach. I don't know, 10 calories, something ridiculous.
Right.
You will get tired of chewing.
Right.
Yeah, before you eat all
Before,
of it.
and you know what? That's not a bad thing, right? Because then your taste buds know that you're eating. It gives your body time, your brain to know that it has eaten something. And then one of the things that overall I try to just remind people, do not drink your calories.
Yep.
You drink it too fast. It's not going to, it's going to affect your blood sugar. And again, I have a protein shake. This is one of 5 meals.
Yeah.
And so my goal is if I'm going to food supplement, say with a protein shake, it's a food supplement.
Right.
It is not my breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Right.
Okay.
So with that being said, and you're saying that's one of 5 meals, what is your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
I really like intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So there's for a couple reasons and for certain people.
Right. So I want your thoughts
Yeah.
on if you think it's for everyone.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. Okay. So there are some true benefits with intermittent fasting. And there's some, really good books. He's a just lost it. I should have written it down. He's actually a urologist. And I can always send it to you later if you need it for the notes or whatever. So he explains, it was funny because his people were having all these issues. And he's like, these guys got to lose weight. So very often that's what happens, right? You'll see a doctor, they're like, all these things could be prevented if they could lose weight. And so they sort of shift into, okay, how do I help this person lose weight?
Right.
And so there's a couple things that happen that are beneficial with intermittent fasting. And one of them is I know you've probably heard the windows, like there's a 12 hours and 12 hours. And you really think about eating over 12 hours, like that's still a long time.
Right. Right.
It's still a long time.
As far as actual eating.
Consumption.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
So a very popular window is to eat over 8 hours and then fast for 16.
Right.
So just to clarify, because people make this mistake all the time, if you are drinking calories, you are not fasting.
Right.
The confusion is as long as I'm not
Eating food.
But if your body still has to turn on insulin, it still has to absorb it, still has to deal with what happens with the blood sugar.
Right.
Okay. So fasting literally means you're drinking black coffee, tea, water, something without calories. You can do seltzers or whatever, but you want that water because as you detox, we've got to flush the toxins, which the fat holds on to.
Yep.
So you're basically, just imagine you're just trying to clean the filter, right? So that's during that window. And you can do that. Some people where it really is beneficial, and guys, I like it for maybe 45 up, 40 up. I actually don't love it for younger people. There's a couple of reasons. If your schedule requires it, that's okay.
Right.
But you can end up eating too little.
Right.
So there's that. But for people who I'd say overeat and feel like their hunger mechanism doesn't turn off, in a couple weeks of doing intermittent fasting, say that 16-8, did I say it right? 16-8. You eat over 8 hours. It does seem to change your hormones and your leptin, which is your satiety hormone, right? So you feel fuller faster, which really does help people not undereat, but eat better,
right?
Who are maybe are chronic overeaters.
Yep.
So I really do like that. I think that is very much a real thing. It also seems to help your blood sugar. And so when I do my intermittent fasting, and again, I've got to be more careful. It's still 5 meals, just shortened, right? And I don't always do that. Sometimes 11 to 8 is kind of what I do. And I try to end with protein. I find the next day I don't seem to have the same cravings.
Gotcha.
But if I eat late or just not paying attention, like last week I ate a sandwich and I just found the next day, because I don't normally eat a bunch of bread. I eat carbs, but I'm not going to eat a simple carb.
Right.
I find that I get hungrier. So I still think it matters what you eat during the window, right? I don't want you to fast and eat a bunch of fast food.
Right.
That's not great. The other thing, though, you have to know your personality. Intermittent fasting can trigger binge eating. So if you do some studying, if you're a person that's already kind of struggles with food and feel like you think about food all the time, I promise you're going to think about it more if you're trying to fast.
So is that something like you talk to your clients when they come in and kind of get that profile? So if someone has, you're like, no, we're not doing intermittent fasting, or hey, we're going to do this for you for a short period of time. So I think that's important also, like people that are doing intermittent fasting, it's not forever. This isn't a
It's
long-term
not forever, but it
thing.
can be. Okay, and so yeah, I hope don't open a whole bunch of cans of lots of multiple worms. So, in my humble opinion, unlike keto, which is effective, but I think a very hard long-term lifestyle. Because like you either have to be all in keto
Yep.
or oh no keto,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can't dabble in keto. So I
Yeah.
always try to remember, because people come in, I was really successful with this. I'm like, that's fine, but you're going to have to stay there.
Yep.
But if you're going on vacation, I need you to come off keto totally, go low fat. But you can't do this high carb thing. I'm going on a cruise, I'm eating cake,
No.
and do the high fat thing.
Yep. No.
Like it's instant weaking.
Right.
What's nice about intermittent fasting is you can choose some days, right? So
Yeah.
you can just say, if it's reasonable, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm just going to eat a little bit later. And you're going to see how your body works.
Yeah.
And again, for my older clients, I like it. For people whose schedule is awful, which is a lot of people, sometimes it's just easier for them to say, I don't eat before 12 and I don't eat after 8.
And then make sure I get my nutrients
Get your
in
nutrients
during
in.
that middle time
So
frame.
yeah, so again, a lot of this is personal and personalized.
All of it is. I mean, we've talked
Yeah.
about all of it.
Yeah, right.
Menopause, our journey is
Right.
different. What our hormones are different. What
Yeah.
works for it. It is very much personal. And so I do think we have to do the work.
We do.
I mean, we have to find what makes us feel better, symptom relief, longevity, muscle building, strength, all of those things come together. We have to do that for ourselves. And I think sometimes, well, it has to start with your mindset. Like,
Right.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm tired of being overweight. And when I say overweight, like for me personally, I didn't change anything, but it was like 15 pounds in like 15 months. I mean,
Super frustrating.
that is, and you're going, what in the world is going on? To where it's like, okay, nope. We got to look at something. We got to change something. We have to do like all of those things, but we have to decide we're ready to make the change. It is going to take more time and effort, and it's continuous.
And it's
hard.
hard.
And it is. It's
and there's
hard.
nothing wrong with it being
with doing hard things.
And it's nothing wrong with getting frustrated with the process.
Yeah.
Just don't let the frustration control it. And so easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I have been doing this so long, and I think we all go through our journeys, like really to help other people.
Yeah.
So when I would express the symptoms of my eating disorder, it's like full on mental battle, right? You're like overeating to the point that you're physically ill. You're having this conversation going, I don't want to keep eating this. And you're
Right.
like, it's the weirdest thing. It's like you feel like two different people. And so I think one of the great things about being in my 50s is learning this and helping, but also like really trying to extend grace to myself.
Yeah.
And
It's okay.
It's okay. And I do think, from my experience, it was harder to do in my 40s because you still have this potential belief that you should be XYZ.
Right.
It should be easier.
Right.
10 years ago, I could change my diet for a week and walk a couple. I hear it all the time,
Right.
and it doesn't work anymore. You are correct. It doesn't
Yep,
work
it doesn't
anymore.
work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore. And be okay with that. It doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Well, and I also think that we need to make sure that women are aware that they need to look inside. When you were talking about it's a mental thing, it's a mind shift, it's wanting to fix and make us feel better. I think we really need to look inside and take a moment to sit back and say, what am I feeling?
When she said that earlier.
Yes. Why do I feel this
Sit in
way?
it. Yeah.
You have
Because
to sit in
there's a lot of people that I have run into and talked with. They don't even know or recognize what's going on within themselves. And we've mentioned this before where some women, they are showing symptoms, but they're not even acknowledging that that's what it could be, even when they're being told. We've got to be like, hey, and take responsibility for our own actions and our own thought processes, honestly.
And it is responsibility, which is really, really hard.
It is.
I think something that women struggle with, or a lot, is this deep sense of perfection. And so it's to get to a place where like, I'm not doing okay and it's okay.
Right.
All right, these symptoms, they stink. And I am going to, kind of like sit and go, okay, what's going on? How would I like to feel differently? How would I like to feel? All right. And then you're researching and you're like, okay, what are some of my options? But then also noticing, because there's information out there, misinformation, to your point before, we figure out what is right for us. So if you're somebody who intermittent fasting has worked for you based on your lifestyle, based on that, maybe you didn't have like binge eating disorder or whatever, you're like, this works for me. And so it's so awesome to have conversations. It's so awesome to have these real things like, has this happened to you? Has this happened to you? And at the same time, kind of, if the thing has happened, awesome. But if the thing hasn't happened and then we get some advice that was like, well, just do this or just do that. No, that may or may not be the best advice.
Right.
Because then sometimes I think we grab onto what somebody else is doing
Yes.
and figure, well, that should be it. And then maybe we give it a try for a week and we're like, well, that's not it. And then we go over here. So the other thing that we really want to work on is we want to give ourselves time
Yes.
to be successful.
Yes.
And a week is not long enough.
No, but
No.
we live in a society
Yes.
of instant gratification. I want to know something, I Google it and immediately on my phone. We are a society of instant gratification, and you talk to people and they say, well, I've been making this change. I've been doing it for like a month and I haven't seen any change. You're like 30 days?
Yep.
30
Yep.
days. Well, let's do it 90 days. And then
Well,
let's talk.
90
And then
days.
let's keep on going from there,
Yes,
because you're going to
yes.
just start. I'm going to say this real quick. For menopause and perimenopause, I personally feel like things happen slower. Like it's going to take a little bit of time to work to put those new processes and habits in place. And it's going to take a little bit of time for you to find where that hormone level is, where that strength training, we've talked about a lot of different things. Give yourself time. Be patient.
That's perfect.
And just give yourself time.
Well, and you think, because the same amount of time is going to pass. I mean, 6 months is still going to be 6 months, but are you going to give yourself time and self-love and say, okay, all this didn't happen overnight. And so we can't expect for it to be fixed overnight either. But give yourself time, because we're going to work on it a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And like I said, 6 months from now, you can either feel really good about progress.
Progress.
There's no finish line.
There's no
finish line.
Nope.
The progress, or accepting and not doing anything, is accepting where you are. And then you're still going to be the same and maybe worse off.
Right.
So,
And if you need to accept where you are, accept it. Mom, so again, being in this industry, we go out to eat, and she's like, Robyn says, which this drives me crazy, Robyn says I can't have cookies. I was like, Mom, I never said that. Never in my life have I told you what, because I don't. I am
Right.
not a food judger, right? I am just not, right? You eat what you want. But she would complain all the time about being overweight, but then, go right to the cookie jar.
Sure.
And so I finally said to her, she's in her 80s, I was like, Mom, how about just loving who you are, how you are? How about no longer being on a diet? How about accepting your body is as it is? She's not detrimental, not
Sure.
A1C, not
Sure.
heart, like her blood, all that. She'd like to be thinner, right? Maybe a smaller size. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not
Right.
putting that down. But at some point in time, if you're unwilling or not wanting, because there's a difference between I'd like to and I want to.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And get okay with that.
Right.
Get okay with that. My husband is many times, he's like, I know you would like to learn knitting, but do you really want to?
No,
Because
I don't.
no, because he's like, it's going to take time. It's going to be frustrating.
You're like, mess up.
Right, exactly. So I think also, I think, out the door.
Yep.
I think that women in menopause, and just women in general, right, is wanting, like, part of what we want is to feel good.
Yeah. A huge part.
We want to feel good. And so maybe part of feeling good is, okay, I don't like the size pants I'm in, and I'd like to be in a smaller. Great.
Right.
But part of it is, can we get into the mindset of going, I walked say you're starting, right? 5,000 is a lot of steps, right? But say 10,000. Today, I'm so excited because, and we say this to ourselves, I'm so excited because I got my 5,000 steps in. I drank 2 cups of water. Water is a struggle for me, P.S., in real life, I'm telling you. But I got 2 cups of water, right? We don't go to the 80 ounces right away. If you're drinking 10 ounces of water, forget 80.
Right.
I got my 10, and I told myself how proud I am that I did these 2 things for myself.
And that's starting that mindset.
That's it.
Yes.
We didn't take this
Mindset.
big leap to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a salad at every meal, but we recognized the steps that we took that were truly beneficial, and we gave ourselves a pat on the back. Because 9 times out of 10, we don't think it's good enough.
Right.
We don't celebrate what we did do. We go right to what we didn't do.
Right.
So it's just this weird mindset, and I hear it all the time. Like, how what's the win? Well, I didn't know. What's the win?
Yeah.
What's the win?
Yeah.
And this is part of the reaffirming, so you can get into the mindset of, okay, now I'm going to work out.
Right.
Now I'm going to lift weights.
Right.
Now I'm going to say no to the cupcake and yes to the apple.
Right. That is
that's how I started, honestly, years ago. It's like how I started. And so now I still, when I look at food, I will tell you right now, and I'm not going to lie, I would love to eat sugar at every meal.
Every meal.
I would eat cake and cookies, preferably cake, maybe some donuts.
Brownies.
Every day.
Brownie girl over here.
Yeah.
But it makes my body hurt.
Oh, it does.
And I can look at it and say,
not worth it.
it is not going to be worth the pain
Mm-mm.
that my knees are going to feel tomorrow.
Yeah.
See, you feel joint. I get bloated. Like my stomach feels super full when I eat like sugary
Well,
things.
I become evil. You know, the little spike. So
You become a gremlin.
I become a gremlin, and that was an awesome deterrent because I didn't like myself so much after eating. It's just sugar.
Wow.
Like I am a mean, and people probably don't even know it's the sugar.
Right.
But it was the time when we were trying to figure out Grayson and his stuff, and he would be at Nana's, and she's like, "Oh, he threw a plant across the room, but he was a perfect angel." I'm like, "Nana, what'd you feed him?" And it was just this really cool process. So I just realized, like, sugar makes me feel horrible. So good, bad, or it's so easy for me to kind of bypass it
Yep.
because I'm like, do I want to be that person for the next
Right.
48 hours? And I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
wanna
I
be
think
able
it's
to
really
walk up and down the
interesting. There's
steps.
3 of us, and we all talked about
Experience.
3 different ways that
It
sugar
manifests.
affects us.
Right. But that is recognizing,
Yep.
okay, how does this make me feel? And it's not necessarily immediately because the endorphins are going and you're like, that tastes so good. I could eat another one. Let me eat the whole thing.
Mhm.
No, it's what did I feel the next day? Or waking up feeling bad going, okay, what did I eat yesterday
Right.
that makes me feel this way right now?
1,000%. And
So,
food, sugar, and like, luckily I have to get up early. So there's so many times I'm like, it's not worth it if I want to feel good tomorrow.
True.
It's not worth it.
mhm.
But you have to get to a place that you recognize that
Yes.
that's what's causing you to feel horrible.
Right. And I think when we're getting to that place in life where we're seeing things that don't make us happy, don't make us feel good, we've got different things going on. And before we ever recognize maybe this is perimenopause, this is menopause, we have to be willing to look and do some self-reflection. We have to be able to say, okay, what am I feeling? what do I want to change? Like, what is not working for me? Enough already. Where am I at where it's that enough already point? And then knowing that, okay, it's time for me to make that change. And loving ourselves enough to put in the work, to know I'm worth it. I'm worth the effort. I'm worth the conversation with my doctor, the time, whatever it is. We don't have to do it alone. We don't have to, like we've said a million times, hide in our closet crying because we don't know what's going on. There are people out there to help you. We're here. If you are hearing this and you need guidance, direction, next steps, reach out to us and we can help answer any questions or guide and direct you. If you're in the Roanoke area, and Robyn Goodpasture at Fit Studio, focusing on women's health and fitness and nutrition, and just having somebody that's going to be in your corner, that's going to support you and help you rewire your brain to say, I did do that good. I celebrate this today. I drank my 2 cups of water. Because we have to make that change for our health long term. We have to make those changes,
and we want to.
And we really
want. We got to remind you. So there's a mantra, and it's from a guy named Dave Blanchard. This has been kind of a game changer, which I love. Right. So if you're thinking about making changes and you're wanting to and feeling like you have to, you can get up in the morning. I love this. I do my gratitudes too. But you can put it on a card and you say, I want to, I choose to, I get to.
Absolutely.
I command myself and I will obey my command. I command myself to make healthy choices that don't include sugar today. And I will obey my command. But I get to, I want to, I choose to. I get to, I want to, I choose to.
Yeah.
You're choosing. You don't have to.
Right.
And it does something, I feel like, with your mindset. Because then it just doesn't feel like another thing you have to do.
Or I can't eat that.
Yeah, right. That is just a bummer right off the bat.
Like,
right.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
And you'll suffer the consequence.
Right.
But so to wap everything up, I know we've gone a little bit longer today than usual.
We've had so much.
This could go on,
yeah.
I know, for another 2 hours. To wrap it up, if there's one thing that you could change, if you would have done differently when you first started feeling symptoms, what would you have done?
Oh. That's a hard one.
I think if there was one thing I could change, because the symptoms were there, I would change my attitude regarding myself and know that it is going to be okay and that I'm not doing anything wrong. And there's nothing wrong with me.
Right. You're not
Because I
broken.
think that self-defeating, wondering, like I wish she then knew what I knew now.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're going through this stuff, instead of just piling more guilt and shame on it, be like, look at that. All of this is so weird and it's unfortunate and I'm going to get some help and that's okay.
Right.
Like really, I think it's the headspace that I would be in, if that makes sense.
No, I think that's huge.
I like that.
I think a lot. We've heard a lot of women. Sometimes it's almost like denial.
Right.
Like, oh,
that's not
because we've shed such a negative light on perimenopause, menopause for so long.
Right.
It's like a denial. That's not happening to me.
No,
Well,
that's an old person
newsflash,
thing.
that's everyone.
Yeah.
Like every female.
Sarcopenia is a thing.
Right.
I didn't
Yes,
think it
it
was going to happen to me
is.
either. But anyway, sorry.
So much stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I know that we can go on, but we need to wrap this up. So I want to thank you again, Robyn.
Thank
for
you
coming out
so
and
much.
sharing your wealth of knowledge with us and our listeners today. Courtney, as usual.
High five.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
High fives all around.
I know.
No. If you are in the Roanoke area, Robyn Goodpasture, she's at Fit Studio. She owns Fit Studio. If that is something that resonated with you today, something that she said, something that we discussed, she's there, and she'd be a great help and resource if you are looking like, okay, what do I need to do?
Absolutely.
Next steps. That would be a great one.
And follow us on Spotify,
Apple,
Apple,
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the things.
Menopause Enough Already.
Have a good day.